So how do we live our faith out at home? Being good Christian leaders and examples in our homes.
Especially being that, I think that there's another, just an added difficulty to that. Being that it's not a 9 to 5 where you clock in and you clock out, and it's law enforcement and first responding and like public safety as a whole, man. Like it's not something that is easy to just compartmentalize. I think that, man, people say that they do, but there's definitely bleed over where it affects other parts of your life if it's not dealt with appropriately. So it's living your faith out at the home. It is hard in this profession. For sure.
Yeah, it's going to show up somewhere. You can say you compartmentalize all you want, but that's bleeding over, like you said, at some aspect of your life, whether it's your home life, your relationship with God,
sure,
anything. How you interact with others could have you have less patience, less grace for others. So.
I think that's probably one of the things that I struggle with the most is grace inside of the home.
Yeah.
I feel like in law enforcement, man, I've got we have a low tolerance for stupid. And it is pretty, obviously there's officer discretion, right? We want to try to use discretion. We don't want to be a jerk for the sake of being a jerk, but it is pretty black and white. I'm not judge, jury, and executioner. Was there probable cause or was there not? If there's probable cause, then hey, we're going to make this arrest, or we're going to go to the next level here. I've got 4 kiddos at the home, and each of them, I feel like I might, my grace tank for them is a little bit less, whether it be from the other side of my profession, being in, being a pastor. I feel like there's a lot of grace for everybody else that I have a hard time, I think, sometimes bringing that back into the home. And then the law enforcement side, it's black and white. Like there's, not a whole lot of gray that we can operate in there. It makes it difficult. It's not something that happens on accident for sure.
We also don't have that many. Well, you'll have some repeat offenders in law enforcement, right? But if you think of it that way, like you're dealing with these people, and then you probably won't deal with them again, or if you do, it's very rare.
Yep.
At the home, you're dealing with your family every day.
Yeah, I'll branch that a little bit of a different direction. So I think there's a misunderstanding of what it means to be the leader of the household.
Okay.
And I'm guilty of it. The leader of the household doesn't mean that everything goes my way. And I am the dictator over the household, right? There's a level of responsibility that is placed on me as a man, as a husband, and as a father, that I am responsible for these things. And I'm responsible for the overall leadership. And at the end of the day, if I feel like God is saying this is not a direction you guys need to go in, right? It's on me to make that judgment call, right? And bear the burden of that. But
sure,
that doesn't mean that everything in the house goes my way.
That's fair.
And the two shall become one, right? It is a joint effort between my wife and I to lead our household. And I think there's a misunderstanding of that to a degree. And for me, I think the challenge is, like with my current role, right? I'm at a command staff level. There's a lot of influence and authority that comes with that role. Where, and as you know, right? And as you know, as being a campus pastor, right? There are directions and orders, for lack of better words, right, that we have to give out to get things done and to get things moving forward. My family is not the workforce, right? Mm-hmm. It's not the same thing. You can't just transfer that over and then be apples to apples. It's two different things. So I think navigating that, right, in that there are times where, and this isn't every day, right, but there are times where I will come home and after dealing with things at work, I very much want things to go a specific, certain way when I am home, right? And that's not fair to them. That's not automatically right, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I do think, I think that for clarity's sake there, what we're talking about in that context is the difference between authority and responsibility. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that I've heard this, and I think that we can relate to this in the job, and so professionally and personally, there's delegated authority, but there's not delegated responsibility. I can delegate authority on the job front, the professional front, and say, hey, I'm expecting you to get this done. But at the end of the day, when chief calls somebody in the office, who's he calling? He's not going to call the guy that you delegated that job to. He's calling you because you carry the responsibility of that. The same thing is true for our home. There's delegated authority with my wife, right? That she is my essential. She is the person that, my goodness, she's the glue in the family. And without her, I would be lost in the sauce out here for sure. But ultimately, the first and foremost person that God calls to be responsible for the family that He's given me won't be Taylor. It will be me. Delegated authority, but not delegated responsibility.